Listen, everybody needs a fairy godmother, just somebody to look out for them. Some people call me their fairy smoke mother, others their internet big sister, but you can call me Hannah, the host of Smoke Sash. So come hang out, let's light up and talk everything there is to life. The good, the bad, the ugly, the embarrassing. I've got a story for it all. Hello, hotties, and welcome back to the internet's favorite smoke sesh. My name is Hannah, your host, and I am so excited to be here with you guys on this beautiful little semi-fall morning. We've been having some interesting weather recently, as you all can probably tell. It's a little chaotic out there in the atmosphere, I will say. I've been trying to enjoy the weather as much as I can. My work schedule has been switching up a little bit, so I've had a pleasantly great amount of time off, which I have done a lot with. Just getting myself and my home prepped and prepared, deep cleaned, okay, to really make sure that winter and fall is going to be a great time to celebrate. I saw some family and friends this weekend. Me and my boyfriend went out on a little date day. We ended up going to this apple fest that was happening in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. And we got some really nice apple cider. We got to listen to some banjos playing, you know what I mean? People watch a little bit and just be outside on a really beautiful day. It was quite nice to just celebrate, the season's changing and, the seasonal vegetables and fruits and see what the farmers are up to and just get out with the people. It's such a nice change of pace and really puts things into perspective, which is amazing. I have the next 2 days off, so I'm really just going to be focused on resting and relaxing. I have a new recipe that I'm working on. It will be posted, I guess, today, the day you're listening to this, but I'm making a French onion soup mac and cheese. Are you kidding me? I know, I've been dying to make this. I've had it in my head for such a long time. And once I think about something for so long, I start to crave it insanely bad. So that needs to happen today or else I'm going to lose my mind. I've also been working on some new merch for you divas. I know that's the only hint you're getting. I actually just talked with my supplier today. So hopefully that will be out by the end of the month. Exciting things happening. And then, this week's going to be pretty chill. Don't really work too much, which is going to be nice. Just kind of, picking up the slack here and there and just making sure that everything is in particular order that I want, because I am a very particular girl and I've realized that and I got to lean into it. I'm also going to see Coco and Claire on Tuesday with my besties. I'm so excited for that because they're playing at a really small venue, which means I'm going to be in breathing room of them, and that's going to be amazing. I've been listening to them since I was 16 with my besties, driving around smoking. I know, hooligans, young age. What else are you supposed to do as a teenager? Drive around, listen to music, smoke at night. That's what you did in the country, okay? Drive down the back roads, literally hand the bowl to the next person. I'm sorry, don't arrest me for what I did when I was 16. I'm sure you've all done it too. But yeah, we would just blast Coco, Claire, and smoke a bowl together and just drive around at 3 a.m. And it was such a fantastic way to celebrate my teenage years. Those are the memories that I really cherish and look back on with fondness. So it's going to be exciting to kind of celebrate that now as an adult. And yeah, that's really all I've been up to. Nothing really crazy, kind of just doing the whole trad wife minus the wife thing, just making sure that my home is ready and prepared so I don't mentally and physically lose it this fall and this winter, making sure that I am indulging in the celebrations of the season, eating as much seasonal veggies and fruits as I can, getting outside as much as I can while weather permits. I actually just uploaded on Patreon one of my big goals. I've kind of been a little bit of a health freak recently. Listen, I love food. I will never cut out food for the sake of health things, but I will indulge in things that are maybe a little bit more healthy than usual. I'm not going to just stop eating bread. I get if you have an allergy, I hear you, but I have nothing wrong with me, so I can eat everything. I'm not going to just stop eating bread because people tell me bread's bad. I'm just going to change the way I eat it. So one big thing that I'm changing in my life is really indulging seasonally in the veggies and the produce that local farmers and people are naturally growing around this time of year. And I uploaded a little PDF of all the things that you should be eating and focusing on, like pumpkin and squashes and cabbage, cauliflower, peppers of any kinds, figs, grapes, things like that. I'm really trying to include those in my daily diet so I can just feel a little bit more in tune with the season, in tune with this times changing. But yeah, not gonna lie, honestly, all I've been doing on my days off is smoking weed and chilling, because what's better than that? Sometimes when you just need a fucking break from life and you don't want to do anything, and I emphasized this on the last podcast, which I think a lot of people resonated with. Thank you for listening. I love you. Thank you for being here. But it was like, it's okay to give yourself permission to be like, I'm not doing anything today. I'm not doing anything. No one can tell me what the fuck to do. In fact, I'm going to rot in bed. And that's probably going to be the healthiest thing for me today. It's okay to have those days. And I feel like I'm really in that phase, especially coming out of like a very hyperactive, hyper working phase in my life. I'm like, I need a fucking break. So really that's what I've been doing. I don't know what is going on in the air astrologically. I believe there's a Scorpio sign interacting with us a lot, and I can definitely feel that energy because I've been a little too snappy recently. I've been a little too emotional recently as well, which I'm an emotional person, but usually have a good hold on my emotions. But recently I've just been like breaking down into tears, which is a little scary, a little concerning, question mark. But sometimes, you just need those moments to let it out, to cry on the kitchen floor, to sob in your partner's arms, to go a little crazy, to look at yourself in the mirror post cry and be like, that's the baddest bitch ever. Sometimes you just need those moments. It is what it is. I'm trying to let that energy flow through me and move on into the better things in my life. So that's what I'm going to try and garner this episode. But I hope you've all been doing well. But with that being said, that's all I have to catch you guys up on. So let's get into what's going on in your minds. Oh, also I decorated for Halloween. I want to get more decorations for behind me just to make it more like festive for the podcast episodes. But I have my little skeletons. I have my little bats. And the rest of my house looks pretty fucking crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I went all out on the Halloween decorations. So I'm like, listen, if I'm gonna be inside even for like a little bit of time, I want it to be festive, I want to celebrate no matter where I'm going, and Halloween is so fun. It's always been a favorite of mine, especially October. I have a few of you girlies who've been like, October has been very scary for me. I don't know why every year. And I get that. I hear you. It can be a very spooky season. The veil is thinning. I think protections need to be up, especially when it comes to just personal protections and emotional protections. I think if you take the time to really protect yourself, put out good energy, white candles, lots of salt, protect your space, cleanse your energy, it'll be a little bit easier to navigate. But the veil is thinning, and if you feel yourself getting a little bit more confused than usual, or you feel yourself maybe 1 foot here and 1 foot somewhere else, understand that is a part of the season, and the more you kind of embrace it, the better time you'll have. I've had Octobers where it feels like I'm fist fighting the air sometimes, and I feel like that comes from me just trying to grasp on to like a reality that simply is not present anymore. And if you allow yourself to change with the times and kind of emotionally adjust and take accountability for where you are and attempt to celebrate as much as you can, it does make it a little bit easier. But yes, for all my witchy girlies, which I'm going to talk more about like spells and rituals, maybe we'll get into it today. Ooh, spooky episode. Then I just want to talk more about, protection. I think there's a lot of power that comes from protection, especially with the spell work. Also, I ran into a ghost last night. I don't know. Very casual of me. I live in a building from like the 1800s. It's been around for quite some time, and I have known that there's like energies and presences here. I've never physically seen an apparition here. I've also I have seen a few apparitions before, but it's pretty rare. I'm not in tune with the ghostly world in that sort of way, the spirit world. The spirit world is not necessarily something that I connect to or work with in my practices, but I did run into a ghost the other night. So I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, I have to pee. Usual girly things, chugging my water before bed, good girl, okay, but I always wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, I gotta pee. So I get up, do my usual thing, pee. As I am walking back out of my bathroom to turn right to go back into my room, literally I'm looking down at my feet and I look up and there is a full on person 2 inches away from me. And it's in this like very ghostly manner where it didn't feel like a wall in front of me like a usual person would. It did feel like an apparition in front of me. Is that the right, am I saying that right? Apparition? Apparition? Yes, I think so. It felt like there was a veil of a person in front of me, and it was in this very grayish bluish lights, like kind of like a moonlight glow. And when I tell you, 2 inches away from me, I'm walking casually, half asleep, out of the bathroom. I see this in front of me. I physically jump back. That's how real it was. That's how close it was to me. Jump the fuck back. Like, scares me that it's gone immediately. And then I just went back to bed. Anyways, that was my first encounter with the presence that I do have in my apartment here. I have known that there is somebody that does still spend their time here. I do think that they move apartment to apartment, so I think they move throughout the building because I don't feel their presence in my specific apartment that often. But I have been aware of its presence. I've never physically seen it, so that was kind of cool. But when I tell you I walked out of that bathroom, physically jumped back because it felt like there was somebody standing in front of me. It was crazy. I do know it's a woman. I do know it's not like malevolent in any sort of sense. She's just kind of doing her own thing, wandering through. So I do like to hold space for her and not fully kind of like freak myself out about it, because I do think a lot of spirits in the spirit world, it's not very harmful. These people are just like caught in the veil, especially right now in October. The veil's thinning, so these presences are a little bit more present. I do feel like most ghosts are not malevolent. They're not like aggressive. They're not mean. I do know that we hear mostly about those presences, but what I've experienced, especially when it comes to ghosts and spirits, a lot of it is simply them just like going through previous steps of their past life and moving through those steps. I don't think they're really present of us the same way we are not very present of them. And occasionally you do have that crossover where it's like we're walking in between each other's paths and we do run into each other, which I think is the kind of experience I had the other night. But I don't think ghosts or spirits are very malevolent or mean. I do think we run into them, and the way that you approach them and garner your reputation with them will affect how they respond to you. So that's why I kind of just like do my own thing, let them exist, I exist. I don't really interact or interfere. I think that's the best way to go about spirits. And I don't think they're necessarily scary. I haven't run into many evil spirits. When I do, I kind of just get the fuck out of there. I've never lived with an evil spirit, but I have lived with spirits before. Here at the old church I used to work at as a 2-year-old teacher, there were a lot of funerals there, okay? Like, there would just be spirits walking through the halls during nap time. Like, very casual, just a part of their routine, you know? But I think they don't need to be so scary. It was kind of funny running into the one last night though, because I haven't had an experience in a while. But if you are afraid of ghosts, I don't think that's something you really need to be terrified of. As long as you have respect for their life and their story and their path and what they're doing, then they really do tend to respect you as well. Honestly, most of the time they aren't even fucking aware of you until you start poking the bear, and then they're gonna poke you back. That's why all these ghost shows are getting chairs thrown at them. Like, bitch, if I was a ghost and you were bothering me too in the afterlife, if a human is bothering me in my afterlife, I'm throwing chairs, okay? I'm doing crazy shit as a ghost. Let's be real. Should I be mad that he went through my phone? That's a good question. I feel like the whole like phone thing, it's very interesting. In a healthy relationship, I genuinely believe that you should be able to have access to each other's phones in a very casual sense, where it's like no one's hiding their phone from each other. If you pick up their phone, they don't freak out. You should be able to just like pick up their phone and change the music, or pick up their phone and show them on Instagram in a very casual manner, and there shouldn't be any weirdness about that. Feeling the need to go through someone's phone, I think, is whatever it's stemming from. I think you should be able to ask. I don't think you have to be sneaky about it. And I think we see a lot of people be very sneaky suspicious about it. Like, I have to wait until he goes to bed to check his phone, to sneak through it. Listen, first of all, if you're going through someone's phone, you better be prepared to leave. Like Nicki Minaj said, whatever that quote is, if you are going through someone's phone, you are looking for something or have an intuition about something bad going on. If you find that bad thing, you better be prepared to leave. You better be prepared to have those bags packed and out the door within 10 minutes of seeing those messages. Most of the time, you're not going to see them. You're going to be sneaky. You're going to pick up his phone. You're going to go through and you'll be like, I didn't find anything. But I think engaging in that behavior is not healthy. And I do think simply just asking to see their phone or like, hey, I've been noticing this. Is there something you want to explain to me? Like, is there any way I can just like pick up your phone and check it real quick? I don't think that there should be like any animosity behind that. If my boyfriend was having an insecure moment and he's like, babe, give me your phone. Like, can I just go through it real quick? Bitch, go ahead. Like, you're not going to see anything on there. I don't know what you're looking for, but also like if that's what you need for your peace of mind, then whatever, I don't care, you know? And I think that's kind of how the relationship should work. I think when it becomes tricky and it becomes a little bit more invasive is when you're doing it behind their back. So do I necessarily think you're a bad person? No, I don't think that constitutes being a bad person. Oh, should I be mad that he went through my phone? I don't think that necessarily means he's a bad person. But I do think there should be a talk about like, I wish you would just ask me things instead of having to go behind my back. I am not here to hide anything from you. I am not here to be sneaky. I am here to be your partner fully. And if you are having an insecure moment, that's something that we can work through together. And I want you to know that I'm an open book. If there's anything you need to hear from me or any reassurance you need from me, I want you to be strong enough to ask me for that so I can be strong enough to provide it for you. I think the whole like going behind someone's back and looking through their phone, that whole problem can be solved with just simply asking them. Because if you ask them and they say, no, you're not allowed to go through my phone, babe, that's saying more than anything else on this planet. If he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead, then it's like, duh, normal behavior. But if he's like, no, you cannot go through my phone. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? What am I going to find? What do you mean? Why can't I? Hello, what are you doing on there that I can't see? Bitch, I'm playing Roblox and like scrolling on Instagram looking at animals. Sure, go through my fucking phone. But ask me so you can get a response. I think responses are important. Communication is important. The way that someone responds to you is important and you should pay attention to it. You're going to learn more from his response or your response to them asking to go through your phone versus what you're actually going to find on the fucking phone. Because a real cheater, a real sneaky bitch is going to delete all that shit. Hide it away. So ask, okay? Get the response. See what's going on. Now, do I think you should be mad? Meh. I understand why you might be hurt or like, what the fuck? But also I think it should be followed up by a conversation of, bitch, just talk to me. I don't want you to feel this way. Just ask me. It's weird that you went behind my back. Like, just, I'm here to be a partner. It's okay to ask me the hard questions. It's okay to feel a little insecure at times, but I'm here to help you through those things. So it's okay to feel weird. I would feel a little weird too, but I do think you should follow it up with that conversation. And if he's not receptive and open to it and this keeps happening, that is a symptom of a larger issue. Okay, but yeah, the whole going through someone's phone thing, it's kind of like, just ask, you know? Imagine they say, no, don't touch my phone. What? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Tricky. Ooh, this is interesting. I don't like being eaten out. What? How? Why? How do I communicate that? Okay, girl, I feel like this is an epidemic in the girl world. I hear this from a lot of girls, which is a little spooky because I have never once heard a man that he hates getting head. You know what I mean? So I'm like, why did the girls not like getting eaten out? And I think it comes from a place of like attention. All right, men don't think about the attention they're getting. They think about the pleasure. They think this is hot, this is great, whatever. They love the attention. But women, we have a very hard time receiving in general, especially when it comes to sex. We feel like all the attention is on us. We feel like, okay, now we have a pressure, even more of a pressure to perform, because like, what if he's doing it bad? Like, it's too much pressure, and I get that. And I get that that takes the fun out of getting eaten out. So let me tell you this. There is a very easy way to slowly work yourself into it, especially if you're like, I don't like the pressure of it all. I don't like the attention. I just don't like it. I think you will like it once you get like used to the attention of it all. And the way that I kind of had this problem too, where I was like, no, don't give it to me. Like, please don't pass that over here. Like, I don't want the attention. I don't like thinking about someone being down there for some reason. I don't know if that's trauma or what it is, but just like overall, I didn't enjoy the attention until I started 69ing. Guess what? All the pressure is taken off of you. You're giving, they're giving. It's kind of a mutual give situation. All the pressure and the attention and the eyes on you are not there. You're not really focusing on what he's doing because you're also doing something. And that taught me the beauty of eating pussy. That taught me, oh my God, no, this is beautiful and this feels good. Okay? Because guess what? It kind of equaled the playing field. It really made me feel like there wasn't so much of like an eye on me or an attention on me. I also wasn't paying attention to what he was doing really. I was just sitting and enjoying and giving. And that's what made me really enjoy getting eaten out. So I think if you're having a hard time, especially with the pressure and the attention and just like overall, I get it, girl. Like, you're thinking too much. And when you're getting eaten out, sometimes you just be thinking too much. And that's not fun during sex. Sex is all about like escaping and not really thinking and just indulging in pleasure. And if you feel like that act kind of sparks too much thinking and too much overthinking, it's not going to make it pleasurable for either of you. So maybe try 69ing. Girl, sit on that face. Girl, sit on that face, have fun, you know what I mean? The pressure will be taken off of you. You won't feel like there's so much of an eye on you from yourself or from other people, whatever it is. And you'll be able to give and receive mutually, which really will help you kind of ease into that attention of that area. I also feel like if you do not self-pleasure a lot, let's get into that. If you don't feel like you give yourself enough attention down there or you're even aware of what's going on down there, bitch, when's the last time you looked at your pussy in a mirror? Do you know how many women don't know what their pussy looks like? There's an epidemic going around and it is pussy blindness. Girl, you're beautiful. You're amazing. Understand what's going on down there. Understand what's happening. Understand what you look like. Understand what pleasure feels good to you. And all of that you can learn on your own. I don't think you necessarily need a partner to learn that. If you have a partner who's down to help you learn, fantastic, great. Let's get into it. But also, I think if you're a single girly and you like don't know what you enjoy, you're going to have a harder time figuring that out with another person than if you just learn with yourself. So touch yourself, feel it up, understand what you look like, understand what you feel like, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, and then attempt to communicate that to your partner. Equal the playing field, but maybe indulging in some give and take behaviors, some 69ing, whatever it is, whatever you enjoy. And I guarantee that kind of all-seeing eye, that pressure will slowly release itself off of you because you will be indulged in the pleasure play, which is all about what giving is about. I don't know how many words I can use here until YouTube or Spotify demotes me. So I'm really trying to be careful here. But yeah, I say, equal the playing field, indulge in pleasure by yourself so you understand what you like, so you don't feel so much shame around it, and then slowly work your way there. But if you're there and you feel like, you know what, yeah, I don't like getting eaten out. Every woman deserves the beautifulness of what it is to get eaten out. Please, I'm begging you. But sometimes you got to slowly work your way there, especially when maybe you don't like all the attention or you don't know what you like. And it's awkward when he's down there just munching away and you're like, I don't even know what to say because it doesn't feel good. Like, understand what feels good to you so then you're able to communicate it. take away the pressure of the overseeing eye by maybe doing a little give and take action, a little 69 action. But yeah, I think I want women to get to the place that men are, where it's like men don't even fucking think about it, okay? Women get on their knees and they're like, let's go. I don't even care if it doesn't feel good. Like, I'm getting head. Let's fucking go. You know, like I want women to get to that place too. Eat more pussy 2024, all right? Please, for the love of God. But also, if you don't know what you like, how are you going to enjoy the experience if you don't know how to communicate that to your partner, thus your partner doesn't know what you like either? You can't expect your partner to be able to just like mind read and know what the fuck's good for you, you know? So get creative, enjoy yourself, pleasure yourself. Understand what you look like. There's an epidemic going around where women don't even know what their own pussy looks like. Please, it doesn't have to be so scary. I think there's beauty in knowing what you look like, what you are, who you are, what pleasures you, and what feels good and what you desire. That's where true sexual power comes from. Because once you know yourself, you're able to communicate it to your partner, and then you're able to have a lot of fun. Someone asked, do you have any favorite poems or poets to share? So I don't really indulge in poetry, but I think a lot of the reading that I do read is poetic in some sort of sense. I do read a lot of really powerful and interesting female writers, and a lot from like they almost write in a diary sense, but it's like poetry about their life. Specifically, and I talked about this on my Patreon a little bit. I do a Patreon book club every month, or I try to. And I will share the book on my Instagram story. But if you want like more of an in-depth communication and understanding of the book, that does happen on Patreon. Patreon.com/smokesashshawty. Ooh. Anyways, this month it's The Diary of a Nice Nin. I think I'm saying her name right. Correct me if you need to. But I flew through the first chapter because, similar in the way that I talked about Eve Babbitt's, which I love Eve Babbitt's and her writing and just like the beauty that she would just dig out from the world, and the way that she communicated it is so inspiring. Like the way she looks at the mundane is so beautiful. A Nice Nin also does the same thing. She's a little bit more introspective of a girly. She's a little bit more sentimental of a girly. She's not necessarily like the hot bombshell that Eve Babbitt's is. She's not necessarily like the Hollywood beau that Eve Babbitt's is, but she is like this very special, introspective, beautiful woman that I am finding a lot of inspiration from. So if you want like poetry in a sense, and you also want to be a part of the book club, and you need a powerful woman to read from and maybe someone to find inspiration from, especially during this introspective time, I would recommend any of her writings. A Nice Nin, she was a diarist, and she has written diaries and published them from the age of like 11 until she died. She also wrote a lot of erotica, which I love. I love that side of her, because in that time that she was writing, which was like the 30s, the 40s, like that was very taboo. And I love a taboo woman. I love a woman going against the grain. I love a woman that's so enthralled with love and romance that it like takes over every part of her being, but is also like a little bit more depressive than the average girly and a little bit more introspective than the average girly. I remember like in the first chapter, she's like talking about where she lives in the countryside, and she's not good at telling time. So every single day she goes and she takes her dog for a walk by the train tracks, but she always makes it home in time before the train comes and she can inevitably end her life. It's like, okay, drama queen. Like I love that stuff because I'm the same exact way. And I also love finding just women who think the same way as me and are cool as fuck. You know what I mean? I think that's why people listen to me, you know? I love that I can be that for you, but I also think it's good to find inspiration from other women as well, especially women that came before you. Understand that there have been cool women since the dawn of time, and she, I think, is one of them. I've been loving her reading so far, so if you need like poetry in a sense, I would recommend any of her diaries. I think she has a book called Little Birds that someone said is really good as well, but check her out. I think you'd be surprised. Winter self-care tips, body care, skin care, etc. Love you. Ooh, okay, so I've actually really indulged in the self-care, self-pleasure, and I think when it comes to winter and being able to survive winter, and honestly being able to survive depression, I feel like depression is the seasonal winter of our mind. It really comes from routine. Routine. I know I talk about routine a lot, and I know it's fucking annoying, but that's because routine truly has saved me. We have this funny little animal brain. Newness is going to scare us no matter what. We're going to have fear behind it. We're going to be a little concerned about what it's going to bring. That comes from the cave days where we didn't know what the fuck was outside of the cave. So, of course, it triggered a little bit of anxiety in us because we needed to be 10 toes down to understand what was out there and to be prepared for what was out there. But guess what? We don't really live in a fucking cave anymore. So we have these cave-like qualities in the real world that I think hold us back a lot. But one thing that really helped us back in the cave days and what helps us now just as much is routine. Okay, when you're in that depressive episode, when you're in winter, the one thing that really helps the time pass by, that helps you understand what's coming next, that helps you get out of bed, is knowing, understanding, and implementing. If you have a routine that makes you feel good, you're going to want to indulge in it a little bit more than not knowing what the fuck is coming next and having to make up that hard step, having to create the next step in the moment. That's ultimately going to be harder than knowing in your brain what the fuck is coming next. So one big area of my life that I've been working on is self-care. Not necessarily like the face mask of it all, but just like taking care of my body and making sure that I have a good food routine, that it's easy to eat even on the hard days. I have a plan, that I have a good self-care routine in the sense of washing myself, taking care of my hair, washing my face, a daily routine that makes me feel good, that gets me up out of bed to take care of myself. Also, a routine that gets me out of the house, activities, a third place other than work and home or school and work and home, a third place that gets me out of my quote unquote usual routine and brightens my day, expands my horizons, gives me something to look forward to. Having those three things in order, I think will help depression and will help the overall winter season of our lives. So, one big thing being self-care, I've really been indulging in more than usual recently. And I think an everything shower is a great place to start. So for me, my everything showers look like I just started implementing dry brushing, and I love dry brushing. I love it now. It's a little bit painful. So if you need to kind of like take some like bodily aggression out, but also like remind yourself that you're alive, dry brushing, go get a dry brush. Go to Target, they're $3. Get a dry brush or bamboo dry brush. And what you literally do before your shower is you go in there, you take off all your clothes, and you dry brush every single part of yourself, moving towards your heart to stimulate blood flow. It's going to make your skin amazing. It's going to make it super fucking soft. It's also going to stop the ingrown hairs. And also it's going to kind of like literally physically bring back life to your body, to your skin, to your experience. I think it's beautiful. I think it's amazing. Your usual shower, body wash, hair care, conditioner, whatever the fuck you need. I don't think you really need a sugar scrub unless because if you're doing the dry brushing, it really helps. And then after I get out of the shower, a body oil or a lotion. There's something powerful about scents. I've recently gotten to the scent world. I've not really been a scenty girly. I've been a natural girly, one could say. But I haven't really been a scenty girly, and I've been getting into scents more often because I think it is just such a small thing that brightens up your day so much. And I'll share some of my favorites later, but I'll throw on a body oil, specifically the Glossier body oil. It smells like fresh jasmine. It makes me feel like a goddess. And I rub myself all over and I give myself affirmations. I love how beautiful I am. I'm so happy to have a working body, to have a body that can get me to work, that can take care of myself, to have this physical body, repeating affirmations at myself. Or a lotion. I love a good lotion, something like that, to kind of just like take care of myself, indulge a little bit, and give myself those affirmations. Having that specific routine, has made me more excited to take care of myself than ever. Knowing that I'm going to crawl into bed smelling like a goddess with moisturized hair and fresh jasmine essential oils rubbed all over myself. Yeah, I'm more than happy to go do that. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to do it every single time. There's going to be nights where I'm exhausted. I'm coming back after a 12-hour shift. I just want to get in the shower and get out and I can barely comb my hair. That's okay. Everybody's going to have those days. If you allow yourself to have those days and also give yourself time and permission to look forward to the days where you actually can take care of yourself, it makes the process so much easier. Having good routines gives our mind that peace that the fear will not be able to fight. So when you're laying in bed and you can't fucking get out, you've been there for 3 days, you know you need to take care of yourself and you need to wash your body, but you don't know how, it's going to be very fucking hard to get out and do those things and figure them out on the spot because you have not put the work in yet, and you can barely put any fucking work in. You can barely think. So how the fuck are you expecting yourself to think in that moment? You have to put the work in before the time the going gets tough, okay? And having that routine to block out the fear and provide a little bit of peace, especially in those hard moments, make it so much easier and make life so much more indulgent and so much better to get through. Same thing with food. Having those 1 or 2 meals that are like comfort meals, I don't give a fuck if they're healthy, honestly. If you are in the depths of depression, it can be a packet of ramen, I don't care. If you have those little routines, those little meals that are easy to buy, easy to source, easy to locate, easy to cook, easy to fall back on, and you have that in your routine, those moments where you're like, I'm starving, but I can barely fucking think about anything because my thoughts are too loud. You know you have that backup plan to fall back on. And in that moment, it will be easier to enact on than having to figure something out. Winter, depression, I think they tie together very well, unfortunately. And taking those precautions, especially in this time now where there's a little bit more warmth and enjoyment and seasonal celebration going on, and taking those steps ahead to do preventative care, preventative work for yourself and your mental health will be so worth it. Okay? One of my fallback recipes, I know I talk about healthy food and seasonal vegetables and blah, blah, blah. One of my go-to meals, especially after work, where I am like coming off a long ass fucking shift. I don't want to talk. I barely want to think. Too many people have pissed me the fuck off. I'm having a hard time. One of my go-to meals, and I buy one of these every week when I do my grocery shopping because I know I'm going to have one of these nights every once in a while. I buy a frozen pizza and a jalapeno, and I chop up the jalapeno. I throw it on top of the frozen pizza, throw the frozen pizza in the oven, go in the shower, take a quick ass fucking shower, get out, the pizza's done, dice it up, whatever, dip it in ranch, devour it. It does not have to be complicated. If you can choose to make it easier on yourself, why would you not do that? It takes a little bit of work to go a long way to help yourself in that moment. Also, side note, when it comes to depression and when it comes to simply building motivation to even do those things, to jump into the routine, I think in that moment, reciting and understanding that you are deserving of basic care, you are deserving of being treated like a human and treating yourself like a human goes a long way. When I was in the depths of my depression and I had like one long fucking dreadlock because I could not comb my hair. I had severe acne because I could not wash my face. I could not brush my teeth. I could barely get out of bed. My bed had no sheets on it. Like, gross. I hear you. I understand you. I have been there. I was there because I felt like I was not deserving of anything good. I am here to tell you, you are deserving of good things. Simply being here, being alive, you are blessed with the gift of being deserving of good things. Just because you don't believe it in the moment doesn't mean that you're not. Doesn't mean that you're not deserving of being here, of having a presence, of taking up space, of getting good things. You are always deserving of that, no matter where you are, no matter what mental state you have. Okay? And I think having that understanding, or at least switching that understanding, especially in that moment where I was severely depressed, and being like, yeah, you know what? I am down bad right now. I'm down real fucking bad. Baddie down, girls. All right? I'm struggling. But just because I'm struggling doesn't mean I'm not deserving of good things. Having that energy to build that courage up and then finally get up and jump into that safety routine, it made it so much easier. So if you're having a hard time believing in yourself, if you're having a hard time, providing that understanding that you are deserving of good things. Hear my words. Hear my fucking words. I'm telling you right now, you are deserving of everything you've ever desired. Just because times get tough and, your brain doesn't work how you would like it to, doesn't mean that you are not deserving of those good things, of those routines, of eating a good meal, of having a good shower, of clean sheets, of washed hair. You are deserving of all of those things no matter where you are. Once you start believing in that, and even just like telling yourself it, even if you don't fucking believe in it, telling yourself, no, I am deserving of this right now. Instead of, oh, I'm just going to let myself rot. You're right. I'm a piece of shit. I shouldn't be doing those things. Once again, narrator of your own life. Even if you don't believe it, remember my words. I am deserving of good things. And then falling back on that safety plan, I guarantee you will succeed. All right. Seriously. Routine is so good for you. And I think a lot of routine building comes from reparenting. I actually talked a slight bit about reparenting on the Patreon. And I think reparenting is so important, especially as an adult where we're sitting here sometimes and we're like, why the fuck do I do this bad thing? Why the fuck can't I take care of myself? Why am I having a hard time navigating emotions? Why do I keep falling back into this self-destructing behavior? I do genuinely believe a lot of it stems from childhood trauma. And a lot of it stems from the way we are raised. Our parents cannot be perfect people. And unfortunately, that means we have to do a little bit more work on ourselves than we would like. But doing the work on yourself will keep you from falling back into repeated behaviors and beliefs that you saw as a child and you hated. You didn't want to become your parents, right? Unfortunately, that means you have to reparent yourself in order to break out of those generational trauma cycles. So, how do I reparent myself? 1, ask yourself, what needs weren't met in your childhood and what skills you didn't learn? Did you not learn how to take care of yourself? All right, let's start from the basics. Let's learn how to brush our teeth, how to take care of our teeth. Let's learn how to take care of our hair. Let's learn how to wash our body to set those daily routines. Maybe you never learned how to cook for yourself. Maybe your parents never fed you. Maybe it was always McDonald's or frozen meals every day. Maybe we're going to learn like one recipe that we can easily enact in our lives that's going to make us feel a little bit better and break those generational trauma cycles of not having any good food in our home. Things like that. Asking yourself what you need and what you were missing as a child and how can you enact those skills in your adult life. Challenge negative self-talk and unhealthy beliefs and create a healthy, positive, and loving view of yourself. I do believe a lot of the self-hatred, especially the self-hatred that I have faced against myself, comes from beliefs that were placed on me by adults. And unfortunately, those ingrain themselves so deeply in yourself and they're very hard to break. But once again, narrator of our lives, the way that we repeat those things, we're going to have belief. So let's change the way we talk about ourselves and challenge that negative self-talk when it does pop up. Learn skills that your parents couldn't teach you, like establishing healthy boundaries, emotional regulation, self-soothing, communication skills, frustration tolerance, routines, structures, accountability, joy and playfulness, and trust. Give yourself the love and compassion that you missed as a child, including self-love, self-compassion, self-awareness, self-confidence. Establish meaningful and healthy relationships. Most importantly, a support network around you. Be gentle with yourself and take your time. Practice self-care. And most importantly, if you're having a little bit of a difficult time, consider working with a therapist. I've been looking for a therapist. I've been doing some therapist shopping. I'm very picky with my therapist. I think it's okay to be picky with your therapist and your doctors. In fact, I think it's more important to do that than not. And specifically, I've really been wanting to work with a therapist that focuses on like childhood trauma and like how children think and how that affects our adult life, because I think that perspective is so important and so interesting to me. Because I kind of me and my boyfriend had a moment where we both kind of fell on negative behaviors that we experienced as children the other day. And we both kind of had that like coming to God realization together where it was like, are we acting like our parents? like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Are we acting like our parents right now? And the answer was yes. But if you do not have that emotional awareness of what you went through and what you don't want to be anymore, a lot of those people are just going to keep repeating those fucking cycles. Do not fall into those negative cycles that you were victim to. Do not make other people victim to those negative cycles as well. Do the work. It'll be so worth it. Establish that routine. Take care of yourself. You are deserving of good things. I love you. Someone asked how to spiritually protect myself. Okay, I guess we'll talk about some rituals, some things that I'm implementing, especially during this time, the spooky October time where I'm trying to really just take accountability of my spirituality, dive into the witchiness of the season, and also just indulge a little bit. It's nice. It's fun. I guess some would call me a witch. I don't really talk about this side of myself that often. I do talk about like spells and rituals and protection, and I guess you could have guessed with how much I talk about the universe and overall just feelings of spirituality. But I do a lot of like metaphysical practices, and I have been doing this for a long time, at least from the age of like 13 years old, where I used to run off to the city and I used to go and grab as much witchy supplies as I possibly could that I could get my hands on at all. Bones, teeth, candles, incenses, spices, anything that I could get my hands on at the metaphysical shop in the city. I would run away, I would go grab as much as I could, and I would come home and I would practice. I do think a lot of spirituality, if you were raised on it and if you were raised by like a witchy mother, a lot of it is just like generational practices. I was not necessarily raised by a witchy mother. I was raised by a Christian mother. So best believe she was not teaching me anything about that. But I do think even if you didn't have somebody to learn from, a lot of my practices come from intuition. They come from either things that I've read and learned from local covens and local witches that I have worked with or gone to circles with and seen and saw and experienced and took inspiration from. Or it comes from maybe what I need in the moment and what I'm drawn to and what I want to implement in whatever I'm trying to do. Now, if you are the kind of girl who is like, yeah, I want to place a spell on him so he'll love me forever. Babe, do I have bad news for you? That shit doesn't work. It doesn't work. TikTok witchery is not real life. And in fact, if you sit down and you try and perform that love spell that TikTok has taught you, guess what? It'll work, but it will not work in the way that you want it to. Love spells, manipulation spells, anything where you're trying to get your way forcefully, especially by enacting a change in someone else's life, will never go the way that you want it to. But I do a lot of protection spells, and I do a lot of manifesting spells. That is probably the safest spell work that you can ever possibly do. I do not think you should interfere with any people's lives. I do not think you should interfere with any sort of love magic in any sort of way. Cutting ties is a little different. I think it's a releation spell that is healthy. But any sort of like love manipulation, it'll never work. It won't work. In fact, the one time I did perform a love spell on somebody, he became so obsessed. It got to the point of like stalker. It got to the point of like scary. That's why I mean, do not perform those love spells, because it will never turn out how you want, and it will become very, very scary. It'll become like enthralling in a sense. And it's not fun to mess with people's minds that way. If they don't fucking like you, you should not have to perform a love spell on him to like you. Babe, that is psycho. He should naturally feel that way without a spell. Okay? That's the problem of it all. Now, I do a lot of protection spells, and especially during this time, I have a lot of white candles lit. You can't see above me. I usually have 2 white candles there. I have like 5 white candles on my dining room table. I have a bunch in my living room, and I have a bunch in my bedroom. I burn these white candles throughout the day if I'm home, just to give myself a sense of cleansing energy, bring that positive energy in, to provide a little bit of protection as well for my space. Pumpkins. Pumpkins are a big thing this season. Pumpkins are kind of a tool of protection. They're a tool of prosperity. They are a tool of also just working with the season. There's a reason people carved jack-o'-lanterns and put them outside on their front step. It was to ward off evil spirits, literally. That's an old pagan practice. That's why we do it now. It's so funny when there's crossovers like this. So I need to go buy a bunch of pumpkins. That's on my list to do. But I'm going to place them all around my house on my doorstep. I'm going to carve some and put them on my patio. They're a great tool for protection and prosperity during this time. Once a month, especially in the beginning of the month, I'll blow cinnamon and a little bit of salt into my doorstep, into my home, into my front door to bring in prosperity, to bring in my manifestations, to bring in that cleansing energy as well. Also, especially while the veil is thinning and you're maybe having a little bit more occurrences with the spiritual realm, a lot of the positive occurrences you will have and to garner that positive relationship comes from just making space for them, especially where they're crossing over maybe into our world and they don't know what's going on. Samhain is a pagan celebration that is what Halloween is inspired by. And essentially, it is just a time where the crossing of two worlds is revealed, okay? The spirit world and the human world is having a little bit of a crossover. So having offerings and having a space for those spirits is what garners that healthy relationship. One big thing that I do, especially on Halloween, is just leaving out either... If I'm drinking, I'll leave out an extra drink for the spirit. Or if I'm eating a meal, I'll leave out an extra meal for the spirit. Or I'll leave out a chair, an open chair for whatever spirits decide to cross through. Just as like an offering in that sort of sense, and to make my space a safe space. Not only for myself, but also for whatever spirits are passing through. And fire is a big important thing during this time. That's why I talk about candles, lighting different colored candles depending on what energies you're trying to bring into your home. But also like bonfires were a big thing during this time because fire, especially during October and Samhain, is a celebration of the light into darkness. And I think that's very beautiful, especially bringing that into my home and my space. I had a big bonfire with my parents, which was kind of my own personal celebration, which was really nice. But also trying to garner that energy in my own home through candles. It could be scented candles. It could be small candles, colorful candles. It could be a candelabra. But just having like lit fires and cleansing the energy in the space in that sort of way, bringing light into darkness. It's quite beautiful. Also, a small ritual that is highly overlooked, especially during this time, is simply just opening up your windows and your doors whenever you can, letting that fresh air in, cleansing your space and your energy by bringing out the stale old air and bringing in the new, fresh, crisp air that this season does provide. Doing that as much as you possibly can. It is really refreshing. Whenever I was deep cleaning my house the other week, I had all of my doors and windows open. I didn't care how hot it was. Like as I was mopping and dusting and cleaning, I just had my doors open so I could bring in that fresh newness. And it really took that like cleaning to an extra level. I know the things that I just talked about seem very simple and very like, oh, not witchy. You didn't do a 14-step ritual. Bitch, you don't want me to do a 14-step ritual. I like indulging in the small things. Once again, the little things that bring pleasure to your daily life. Especially during this time, there's a lot of little things that you can indulge in. So go carve a fucking pumpkin, all right? Go light some candles in your room. It could be a $15, $10, $5 candle from Target. I don't care. Go light some candles. Go open your windows. Go celebrate the season. You don't have to have these 10-step rituals in order to be a witch. And I think that's important to note. And no, you should not be performing love spells on him. It will not work the way you want. And if that man doesn't love you without the love spell, then he is not the one. Everybody go watch The Love Witch in order to see why the fuck that's a thing. All right. If you want to know why you shouldn't perform love spells, go watch The Love Witch. Oh, also, I love that movie. It's such a perfect time during this season. Now, we do have a full moon coming up, I believe, on the 17th. I'm going to do a big thing for that, just to kind of celebrate. I also haven't done like a big ritual in a while, maybe like a manifestation protection ritual in a while. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But yes, if you're new to this, go to your local metaphysical shop, go talk to your local covens, go look up local meeting points and different classes you can take. For my Kansas City girlies, Oracle is a great place. They host a lot of just different workshops and classes, whether it's taxidermy. They had a candle magic one that just happened. They'll do card classes, they'll do crystal classes, whatever it is. They do classes in order to help teach the local community. That, and then Sacred Psyche in Kansas City. She is a intuitive spiritualist, and she does put on a lot of full moon and new moon celebrations that I think are beautiful and really fun to learn from. And a lot of the things that she utilizes in those celebrations are seasonal based on whatever new or full moon that we're experiencing. So go get out into your local community. That is really the best way to learn. And go to your local metaphysical shop and see what you are intuitively called to. I think you'd be surprised. But yeah, it's a big witchy season. My witchiness is definitely coming out. And before anybody says it doesn't work, maybe it just doesn't work for you. Sorry about that. How to socialize without being awkward. Everybody's going to be awkward. The more pressure you put on yourself to not be awkward, the more awkward you're going to be, and the more people are going to realize it. So just understand that we're all human and we're all going to fuck up and we're all going to say some weird shit. Don't overthink it, because other people aren't overthinking the weird shit that they say. And ultimately, the realer you are, and ultimately, honestly, the more you fuck up and the more you say weird shit, the more people are going to trust you and want to be a part of your life, because you are, say it with me, authentic. And the hottest thing that someone can be is authentic. All right, don't overthink it. Everybody's going to be weird. Everybody's going to fuck up. And I love that. I think that's beautiful about humans. You know what I mean? Why do men act like y'all are soulmates and after 2 months they become evil? Because they are probably and most likely love bombing you. That doesn't happen in a real normal relationship. That doesn't happen in a non-manipulative relationship. That's why I say when you go on a first date, act like you're hanging out with your best friend. If they can't take the energy of like who you are with your best friend, completely unleashed, completely unheld back, then they don't truly like you. I don't think you should be putting on a facade within those first couple dates or within those first couple months of dating, because that is manipulative and weird. Be your full, authentic, weird fucking self. And if they can't handle it, then they're not the right one. And I think men especially feel this manipulative pressure of like, I need to win them over. I need to win them over. So let me throw the gifts at them and pretend I'm a person that I'm not, and take them on these luxurious dates that I can't afford. And then you're like, okay, I love this man. He treats me so well. Well, that's not how he actually fucking treats you. And in 5 months, you're going to realize, oh my God, that man is not who he said he was. That man is evil, actually. And yeah, that's true love bombing. Now, if you meet somebody and you were just excited to be together and you are just sharing the love endlessly, that's not love bombing because it's authentic. But if you are doing it in a manipulative manner, and if you find yourself sitting there, especially in a new relationship, and you're like, they are a very different person than who they were 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 5 months ago, that's not normal. That's not normal. And I argue that if you were being treated badly within the first 5 months to a year, get the fuck out of there. Run as fast as you possibly can. But yeah, that's true love bombing, where you're like, why did they treat me so well and now they're evil? Because that you're finally seeing their true self. Fall ins and outs. Ooh, fresh baked pumpkin cinnamon rolls. I'm about to make another batch of my cinnamon rolls that I posted on Instagram. That recipe was so good. I actually think about them once a day. Actually, they are so insanely good. My boyfriend's like, I don't even want to ask you for another batch because I know they're so hard, but I genuinely can't stop thinking about them. So good. Pumpkin cinnamon rolls, pumpkin anything. I got a pumpkin candle from Target that I'm obsessed with. I light it like every afternoon when I'm having my little like chill moment of the day, my final, or even at the end of the night where I'm like, okay, I'm sitting down for a second. I'll light my pumpkin candle, indulge in the seasonal smells and activities. A good deep maroon red lip gloss, whether it's like the what's it called, the black cherry whatever by Clinique, or my personal favorite color is the Fenty Beauty Fruit Snacks lip gloss. A dark maroon lip is so hot. Also just like dark makeup in general, a plum blush, something like that. So fun, so sexy. Speaking of nail cam, they're not showing up as purple as they are in person, but I'm obsessed. I was like, I just want a simple, witchy, dark purple set, and she nailed it. Purple in general, I've been loving purple recently. What else? Deep cleaning your entire house, a little apple cider, maybe an apple cider donut here and there is so hot and sexy, especially during fall. Pattern tights. I love like a mini skirt and a pattern tight. Very hot, very fun. Chokers are very in this season. Crushed velvet is very in right now for me personally. I just got this beautiful crushed velvet Coach bag in this deep maroon color. Very witchy energy. Anything witchy right now is like, I'm all about it. Black loafers. Scarves aren't in quite yet. It's still kind of hot. Thank you, global warming. Enjoying these crisp, cool days, trying to get out and just like smell the fresh air as much as you can. Decorate, indulge in the seasonal holidays, seasonal fruits and veggies. I love a good harvest bowl, like kale, roasted cauliflower and green beans, sweet potatoes. Chop up some Honeycrisp apples and throw it on top with a little balsamic glaze. Ooh, that is hot. Any sort of like autumnal soup where you just take a bunch of seasonal veggies and roast them and then blend it all up and dip it with a grilled cheese. That's super hot and sexy. Roasted garlic right now is also really nice. Flaky sea salt, anything cinnamon based, a cinnamon tea, a cinnamon coffee. We love it. And then last but not least, blood red lace and flannel. That's personally all I've been into this fall. Oh, red wine and puzzling, and also pho. Those are my fall ins. Fall outs, self-hatred, self-denial, not indulging in the seasons. Anything pastel. Pastel's kind of out right now. And honestly, that's it. I don't like the outs. I like the ins. How to detach from people you know are crazy, but you know have good intentions. So there's this funny thing about life where you're going to run into many different characters and many different people. Specifically, I think it's important to know like what kind of people you can keep close and what kind of people you do have to keep at a distance, and then what kind of people you have to cut off. I feel like we've lost the nuance that like you can know people and keep them at a distance. You don't necessarily have to cut them off and be a bitch. You know what I mean? The whole cutting people off trend became way too like egotistical, and I think too many people started seeing everybody as like an op, and in turn really isolated themselves by thinking if you're not the best person to me ever in the entire world, then you don't deserve to be around me at all. There's going to be nuance, especially in adulthood, where there's people that you are going to see and interact with on a regular basis that you do have to keep up good relations with, that you do have to, keep interacting with against your choice or not. And the best thing you can really do, especially if you do not trust those people or really want to identify with them, is to keep them at a arm's length distance. All right? Especially when you can't cut them off, or maybe they haven't really fucked you over enough to cut them off. I think it's important to understand that there are people where it's like, I see you, I hear you, I'm going to be a normal human being to you. But also there's certain things and access to my life that I'm not going to give you privilege to. That's just a general boundary setting rule. Like whether it's a random friend of a friend that you don't really trust, you don't really, want to be close with, but also it's somebody that's in your proximity that you have to be a normal human being to, that you have to, share space with. It's like, cool. I'm not going to be that bitch that doesn't talk to them and is like, side eye, like, that's annoying. No one wants to be that person or experience that. But I also know that maybe you're not a person that's trustworthy, and I'm not going to share all of my deepest, darkest secrets to you. Maybe it's a coworker that is your biggest op, and you don't want them to really be close to you, and you don't really want to interact that much. But you can still have those very normal conversations, share a little laugh here and there, and interact on a very professional level without being that bitch that just cuts him off and looks away. You're gonna have those weird times where it's like, I don't really know what to do with this person or how to interact, and I think it's okay to keep people at an arm's length, to keep them at a distance, to have those boundaries of what am I going to share and what I'm not going to, and understand what's important to you. What are they maybe looking out for? What kind of behaviors that are they indulging in that are negative, not only to you but to them, and setting those boundaries accordingly. Someone said research, creative research, thinking about your advice on creating a self thesis. This will probably be our last question for the day. I just think it's such a good reminder to really emphasize on like what is your goal and what is your mission for the season. I talk a lot about seasons. I find a lot of inspiration in the seasons, okay? Whether it's spring and self-renewal and just indulgence in the time, or summer and working on projects or working on self, dreaming, that can be research. Maybe it's fall where the internal work starts taking over, where you start taking accountability for the little things, focusing on the indulgences of the season. Maybe it's fall where you're working on big projects, you're doing home renovations, you're doing mental renovations. Whatever it is, I think each season is a great reminder to ask yourself, what do I need to do during this time? What is going to benefit me during this time? What didn't work last time and what can I implement now? And I think having like this self thesis, and I loved a thesis, especially during college. Like my one track brain loves doing research and loves like deep diving into things and getting into the cracks and crevices that people are maybe a little bit too nervous to get into, and understanding fully. There's something about me that truly wants to understand everything going on in my life. And I think having those self theses in whatever aspect it may be and doing those throughout the season really gives a new renewal on life and gives you a purpose. A lot of you are aimlessly wandering. You don't feel fulfilled with self. You don't feel fulfilled with your life because you're not doing anything. You're not working towards a goal. We as human beings have this innate need and this innate nature to want to work towards a goal. What goal are you working towards? If I ask you that and you're like, honestly, nothing, that's a problem. Let's get into the creative ideas. What do you want to do? Do you want to learn a new hobby? That can be your thesis for the fall, okay? Maybe it's I want to learn how to cook. Maybe it's I want to learn how to draw. Maybe it's I want to finally get into working out. Maybe my self thesis is my health. Maybe my self thesis is working with friendships and developing new friendships. Maybe it's a creative thesis. Maybe it's understanding our psychology. Whatever it is, I think it's so important to do personal research and personal work in your daily life. And I think that's why college is so important, because I wouldn't have learned these tricks and these tools of truly desiring and searching for every aspect of every idea if I didn't go to college. That's why I say college is so important. And I know it's annoying and it's hard work. It's a lot of money. I hear you, but there's so many tools and resources that you will have that you will apply to your daily life that I think is very important. The work ethic of it all, the research of it all, the understanding of it all, the seeking truths and ideas and seeking out different things that maybe you were not taught to look for previously. I think it's so important. I'm still trying to figure out my self thesis for my fall experience, but personally I think my self thesis right now is really just getting to the basics, the bare bones of everything. Hi skeletons, hey cuties. Okay, skeletons are really, a big seasonal thing right now. Okay, death, rebirth, things like that. I think that's so important, and I want to focus on that idea in my daily life and getting to the bare bones of everything. I just did my house. I literally took out everything in the corner, dusted all the cobwebs, pulled out everything from the drawers. Now I need to do that for like the mental part of my life as well. I need to pull out all the shit out of my sock drawer, reorganize, get everything back in order. I think that's my self thesis of the fall. But I think it's a great reminder every season to ask yourself, like, what is my thesis this season? Is my thesis just like getting back on track? Is my thesis taking care of self? Is my thesis creating new hobbies? Is my thesis growing into a new version of myself? What is your self thesis? We got to get into it, girls. We got to get into the nitty gritty. We got to do that research. We got to grow. We got to change, because I think a lot of times fall and winter are hard on people because they cannot get outside anymore. They cannot run away. They cannot escape. And they are now faced with the truth of what's in front of them and who they are. And they are left with a lot of alone time with themselves. And alone time can be dangerous. Alone time can be good, but alone time can be dangerous. That's when you start spiraling. That's when you start overthinking, all the negatives start happening. So what can you do with that alone time, with that isolation time, that will help you grow and develop so in the spring you can blossom into who you are truly supposed to be? All right. Ask yourself, create this thesis. It doesn't have to be hard work. What are you desiring truly in yourself that you have not stepped up and done yet? Let's get to it. Let's start doing research. Let's start understanding. Through that, we will be able to grow, develop, and then also we'll be able to challenge ourselves in new ways in the next season of our lives, in the next thesis of our lives as well. All right. I love a good research and understanding. I love a good, like, literally, I'm insane. I was like, what's the best broom to buy? What's the best mop to buy? I'm doing vacuum research. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? But also, like, taking this intuitive time to follow these plans and to really dive into what my internal world wants me to dive into is going to help me become a more well-rounded adult. Follow those dreams, follow those intuitions, follow that creative research that you want to do. All right? Your heart desires it for a reason. Get into it. But yes, I think my overall thesis this fall is just like, how can I level up as an adult? How can I get those routines in order? How can I get my home in order? And what can I do as like preventative measure to make maybe winter a little bit more easy on us? And if you want to follow my thesis with me, feel free. I'm sure I'll share it with you. This has been a very fall seasonal episode, but it's been good. I really enjoyed it. Very like Halloween-y, very spooky. Ooh, we love it. I hope you enjoyed my little ghost story because that was crazy. I've never like run face to face with a ghost before, but that was definitely interesting. I will be making more space for her as the veil thins. Please take precaution, uplift self, promote self, inspire blessings, inspire peace, bring in positivity into your world, make space for the otherworldly. Do not put that man under a ritual or any sort of spell. Please, for the love of God, I will only warn you once. Only once, babes, or else you're going to have to live and learn, and that's no fun. But I love you all. I hope you're staying sane. I hope you're staying sexy. I can't wait to go make this mac and cheese. It's going to be so delicious. I'm going to go also deep clean my bathroom. That's next on my list. And then I'm going to have a little girls' night tomorrow, listening to Coco Claire. It's going to be so nice. It's going to be a great celebration. And honestly, I can't wait. But I love you all so much. If you want to see more from me, join the Patreon, patreon.com/smokesesshawty. I've been posting a lot there recently. I don't know what's gotten into me. I've just been like, whatever's on my mind, post. I like hanging out with you guys. I like talking and interacting with you guys. And I think you guys enjoy it too. I think that's like the whole point of it all. I also do an extra podcast episode on there every week where I answer every single one of your questions. And if you want to see more from me in general, instagram.com/smokesesshawty. Oh, wait, no, that's my meme page, but you know, Instagram.com/Hannah Marlene. That's where I post personal stuff, recipes, reels. I just posted a little fall inspo, little post, some outfit inspo, things like that. And yeah, I'm really getting into the season, so I'll be sharing a lot with you guys. But I love you all. Stay spooky, stay sexy, stay sane. And I'll see you all next week. Mwah.